Have you ever been hungry for a sweet snack that's easy to make and also delicious? Well, I'm Ben, and I'll teach you how to make these fudge brownies in these simple steps. Before we can actually start baking, we need our ingredients and tools. First, we have a measuring cup filled slightly with water. Secondly, we have vegetable oil. That can be any brand. Next, it's a pan, bake our brownies in. Then we have a medium-sized bowl to mix our brownie mix in. The brownie mix. This is the most important part, and we will be using the recipe on the back, so that's very important. And our final ingredient, eggs, which we are also using in our brownie mix. Now that we got all of our ingredients, we can finally start the recipe. The first step on the recipe on the back is to heat the oven and grease the bottom of the pan, but we will be doing that later after we get all our ingredients ready. But for now, we're just going to be opening the brownie mix and mixing all the ingredients along with it, which are the eggs, the vegetable oil, and the water. Now that I've got the brownie mix out, we can start putting the water in, which I'm going to do here. We're only supposed to put in 2 teaspoons, but I only have half a teaspoon, so I have to put it in 4 times. But if you have a normal teaspoon, you should be fine with 2. Now that we're done with that, we can move on to the vegetable oil. So for this step, you're supposed to have half a cup of oil. As we start to pour this vegetable oil, you're going to see the whole brownie mix actually come together. It looks all wet and like a whole mixture. That's what the brownie mix is supposed to look like. You want it to look this way. Now we can start to mix it. And this step kind of takes a while if you're not good at mixing like me. But eventually you get there and it will look like a whole clump. As we mix it, it doesn't really look this appetizing. But I promise, once we get into the oven, it will look absolutely perfect. Right now, I'm putting in the 2 eggs because I did it late because I kind of forgot to do it earlier when we were mixing. But we're doing that now, and now when you start to mix it, it will look super good. Not when you start mixing it though, because it looks terrible. But once you start completely mixing it, it will look like a proper brownie mix. Now that we've got our full mixture, we can finally put it into the pan. First, we need some type of grease to make the brownie mix not stick to the actual pan. So I'm going to use this regular canola oil grease from Walmart. You can buy anywhere. And now we can actually start putting the brownie mix onto the pan. You might need some help for this. It's kind of hard to hold the bowl with one hand and scoop it out with the other. So you might need some help. I figured this out the hard way. It took me quite a while and I struggled way too much, but eventually we got there. Now that we've got that onto the pan, we can start the oven process. First, you're going to want to set your oven to 325 degrees. Depending on your pan, the higher or lower the degrees need to go. Since I'm using an 8x8, the recipe says to go 325 degrees. So now we can start shaking it to get all the air bubbles out before we put it in the oven, as the air bubbles will make the brownies all cake-like and less fudgy as we want. So it's important to get that out before you put it in the oven. And as we leave them in the oven, we can finally set our timer for how long they should be in the oven. On the brownie mix recipe, it says to leave it in there if you have an 8x8 pan like I do, to leave it in there for 40 to 50 minutes. You shouldn't do that at all. It only takes about 25 minutes. If you leave it in there that long, who knows what they're going to turn out like. I learned that from my mom because we bake these brownies every other week. So I learned a lot from baking from her. And it's always super fun, even though it kind of makes a big mess every time we do it. But it's always fun nonetheless. Now as this timer finishes up, we can finally pull out the brownies out the oven. But first, we need to test if they're ready. To do this, you put a stick inside the brownies and see if there's any brownie on it. If it's clean, it's good. And right there, you saw it was good. So I can finally pull it out and let it cool for like 10 to 20 minutes. As I set it here to cool off, make sure you turn off your oven and you can finally appreciate your hard work. The brownie I made turned out perfectly. It has the exact amount of crisp that I wanted on it and it looks very good. Now that we reached the second to last step, cutting the brownie, we can finally relax and do the easy steps. Now making this brownie has been pretty easy, but I'd say the most enjoyable part about making the brownie is making it with my family. It was super fun, and I think baking with your loved ones makes the whole end result more worth it and more enjoyable. Now that we finished cutting it, we can move on to the most important and final part of making the brownie, which is eating it. I chose to put some ice cream on top since I personally think brownies taste way better with some type of topping, or as I said, ice cream, and it just tastes delicious. Now I hope you learned the recipe from this video to see for yourself if it tastes as good as it looks. Thank you. Make sure to try it out for yourself.